wat ek die plaashuis betree het en waar die wynproe aangebied is, kon ek aanvoel dat dit 'n uitsonderlike geleentheid sou wees. Suid-Afrikaanse klassieke wyne uit die 1960s, 70s en 80s was almal tesame met van die mees invloedrykste persoonlikhede in die wynbedryf, almal in een vertrek. Wynmakers wie self betrokke was by die wynmaakproses meer as 50 jaar gelede, die hart van die wynbedryf, het saamgetrek om ons unieke wynkultuur, geskiedenis en prestasies te vier en vas te vang. Die pragryke, ruim, autentieke plaashuis te Courchevel is ideaal geleef vir die geleentheid met 'n asemrowende uitsig van die Franshoekberge. Ons gasheer en vrou was Graham Falk en Sonja Hellinger, die eienaars van die plaas en die Courchevel ou wynversameling.
Ek is nie te bekommer oor die kwaliteit van die wyne nie, want die ouens wat betrokke was om die wyne te maak is nie, julle moet bekommerd wees, dink ek. Ons kan maar net sê, hier is die wyne en kom ons kyk wat het gebeur met jou wyn intussen.
Die hele idee is, ons maak 'n venster oop 40, 50 jaar gelede. So 'n geleentheid kry almal van ons met een bottel. Maar ons kry dit nooit met so baie bottels, verskillende wyne. En die niceheid is, ons ken die mense wat die wyne gemaak het. Soos ons maar proe, dan kan ons sê wie gaan nou haal. En dan bring hy persoon sommer die bottel ook mooi netjies in my so bring. En dan sal ek dit goed oopmaak.
Dink jy ons moet maar gou die mense vinnig die kelder wys?
Gaan wys vir die kelder.
Die wyne is gestoor in hulle oorspronklike, geseelde bokse, onderste bo met elke bottel in afsonderlike karton omhulsels, wat gebruik was tydens daardie periode. Die bokse is verder onaangeraak gelaat vir dekades in 'n donker kamer binne 'n Kaaps-Hollandse huis met dik mure. Ons is die geleentheid gebied om die wyne in hul oorspronklike verpakking te besigtig binne die kelder. Graham het die geleentheid nog flair gegee deur elke gas toe te laat om persoonlike bottel uit te haal wat geproe sou word. Dit was iets besonders toe die gaste in afwagting toekyk hoe Gary Baumgarten die seël breek van 'n boks uit 1969 wat vir 47 jaar lank geseël was. Ons het afgeskop met die 56 jaar oue Landsraak Cabernet Sauvignon 1960 wat onmiddellik die verbeelding van almal teenwoordig aangegryp het met sy merkwaardige kwaliteit, meer as 'n half eeu nadat dit gemaak is. Dit is die eerste jaar wat die kegelvormige bottel deur Landsraak gebruik was.
Maybe also, it would be nice to, description of the wine anybody else can do, but if you can just also highlight a little bit the history, whatever was behind the way of making wine, what was different in those days. Because this wine is actually still very nice and young. Unfortunately, there's the difference between the two bottles. And I have the one bottle here, the other bottle is a little bit more developed than this one. And, but Debbie, over to you.
Ek kan enigiets sê oor die wyn wat ek wil, want ons voor ek begin. We used to crush a lot of the grapes ourselves in the cellars at SFW, but we also used to buy wine in bulk from all over, not only Stellenbosch, but all over the grape growing area at that stage. There weren't too much Cabernet planted over the hill on the Kandiberg, but mostly from the dryland areas, Stellenbosch, Parel, Achterparel, Malmesbury, those places. The wines in the cellar that where I was involved, we used to crush. Daai dae was dit alles handgeoes. Daar was nog nie masjiene in daai dae nie, handgeoes. En dan deur die druiwemeel, soos Meyers nou net gesê het, daai dae was die meestal bostok, mostly bush wines. En klein korreltjies en die ou Agropoa, soos ons het genoem het, daai dae die druiwemeel het maklik vasgesit. Toe moes ons 'n klomp sin sou bysit om 'n bietjie los te maak. So die naam Landsraak is maar net 'n handelsmerk. It's just a trademark. It's not nothing to do that the grapes came from Landsraak at that stage. And you must also bear in mind in those days, 1960 was before the wine of origin scheme came into the Cape. So the varieties, if it said Cabernet, it wasn't like it has to be now 85%. It might be just a little bit lower.
Just a question, and I'm not getting too technical, but what's amazing about this one is its acidity. You know that it's so firm and so vibrant, if I may use that word. Was it common to add acidity or?
Well, it was a standard recipe when die vrachtdrywer inkom. By elke vrag was dit 'n jamblik of 2 wynsteensuur. En 'n jamblik was omtrent 2 kilogram of meer. Daai daar was 'n groot jamblik en dit was standaard gebruik gewees. En dit help baie as jou suur, destyds baie help jou suur, you add your acid on the grapes there because it helps to stabilize the wine and get rid of a lot of the potassium. I see this wine does have an difference from a cloud to it, which is acceptable, I think, for a wine of this age. I agree with Charles. I thought the acid balance was fantastic.
Die Landsrak Pinotage 1969 was uit die 375 ml kegelvormige bottel. Ten spyte van die risiko dat die kleiner bottel nie dieselfde verouderingsvermoë as sy groot boetie mag hê nie, was ons weer eens vriendelik verras deur die relatiewe vaarsheid van hierdie wyn.
Yeah, 1969 was, I would say, was my first vintage on my own because Dani was the previous winemaker. He died sadly just before the harvest, so I was almost a snotkop, a young student coming from university. And I can still remember I had a bed on top of the tanks, and I stayed there for almost 2 months in the cellar because we were harvesting about 1,200 tons in those days. And then the normal thing, Ronnie Merck's recipe for Pinotage was a big apricot jam tin with acid on a ton of grapes. So it was open fermenters with the tin of acidity on the skins, and then you would pijas like the French said, or push the skins through the juice. So that's more or less the recipe.
Ons het een aand die ouer manne in die bedryf, toe was ek ook nog miskien die jonger is genooi, en dis het om Dani van Uiterwyk en oom David van Oevergou. Hulle moet toe vir hulle wyne vertel, maar hulle dieselfde konsultant gehad. Toe sê oom Dani, maar hy het altyd sy suur toevoeging was op 'n ton 2 jamblikke. Toe sê oom David, magtig sê hy, maar ons het dan dieselfde man gehad wat ons geadviseer het, dat ons teen mekaar, toe die een ou 2 jamblikke laat bygooi, die ander ou jamblikke. I had the opportunity to taste some of this wines, and for me this wine is still brilliant, as it opens. I mean, we need to drink this in another 2 hours time. It's still got blackberry flavors on it. If you go back to the 63s that being young and the 61s, you have the opportunity, it still shows the fruit of that specific vintage, and that impresses me a lot. A good tannin structure, but also still alive. This wine can still go for quite a while, and that impresses me because Pinotage is one of the varieties that can age well, and it's just a stamp on it to show that it can age well, and compliments to Jan and to Dainty that were making this wine in those days. Baie dankie Jan.
Nou het ons geweet dat die SFW wyne nog baie goed is. Ons het uitgesien na die Chateau Libertas in 1970. Dit sou interessant wees om die wyn te vergelyk met die moderne weergawe.
So I think Chateau has come a long way. Unfortunately, one of the supermarkets started discounting it a couple of years ago, and suddenly Chateau's image and the sales and everything took a big dip. And I think people equate quality with price, and it has never sort of really recovered as far as I know. But it's always been a start marker wat my aanbetref vir ons wyne. One thing I wanted to say about the wines we've tasted so far, I think they go down very well in the Swartland because all of them have a little bit of cloud in them.
Was it only Cinsault, Pinotage and Cabernet that year? Was there any other red varieties available?
There was a little bit of Shiraz and a paar port varieteite, maar there wasn't much else to choose from.
Die Verdun Gamay 1980, Gamay Noir, het beloof om baie interessant te wees weens die skaarsheid van hierdie wyn in Suid-Afrika.
Well, Gamma is not known to be aged very long. It's got very soft tannins, and I think you pick that up immediately in this wine. It doesn't have the tannins of the Pinotage or the Cabernet, but the sweet candied fruit you do pick up, which is definitely a Gamay Noir character. Lots of cherries, sweet boiled sweets, and I love the potpourri floral edge that comes through as well. It's remarkably fresh for 36 years. It shouldn't have aged this long, and I think it's still remarkable, but drying out a little bit on the palate, and the tannins are a bit watery. And surprisingly dark color. Would they maybe blended some Cabernet in, or?
No idea.
So, okay. But a
Certainly
nice
not
surprise.
Certainly not Cinto.
Yeah. A nice surprise. Not as fine as the other wines that we've had, but interesting. And in great condition, and maybe that's a good comment, Graham. I mean, we all get worried. We all worry about storage conditions, and I come across a lot of these wines. But from what we've tasted, I'm pretty sure these wines are in really good quality condition. So that's great.
Good to hear.
Dit was tyd vir die betroubare staatmaker, Zonneblom, en ons het begin met die Zonneblom Shiraz 1978.
This is one of the first Shirazes that we made at Farmers. I was still involved in on the winemaking side. And as you can see, Jan says it's one of the best vintages we've had. Not this particular wine, but the vintage 78. And it's a much lighter style than I think we get today in the Shirazes. But we believed in making lighter style wines, philosophy of the company, because we believe that wine and food go very well together. That's what we learned from the founder of us, W.C. Winshaw. He was a medical doctor, and he started Chateau Libertas and all the other wines. And his philosophy was to make easy drinking wine.
I think 72 and 74 were wonderful vintages, and with good ripeness. So if I look back, you can look in the old Nuremberg catalogs, the alcohols were 14%. But then in the mid-70s or the early 70s, the whole red wine revolution started, and all of a sudden the Transvaalers wanted to drink red wine, and there was no red wine around, and there was a huge shortage, and the idea was then to make the red wine in February, March, and have it in the bottle to sell it to the Transvaalers by Christmas. So that, because there was just a shortage, so the wines they started making red wines in a much lighter style, easier drinking. So at some stage, we had Cabernets of 11% alcohol, 12% was sort of the maximum. Soft, low extraction, and wines that were easy to drink at a young age. That's where Spatsperling and the Transvaaler came to him and he said, "Please, I would like some of your Cabernet." And they said to him, "Yes, which one would you like, the red or the white?" And the guy was completely
I will tell you a story. When we were in meetings, the estate wine farmers, with the trade and the coöperatie owners, then we always had differences on all aspects. And one day Sidney Beck made a speech about something of the wine industry. And then the trade, Ronnie Melk, Piet Venter, and we all said, "We fully agree." And then Sidney said, "Then I'm wrong. Then I've said something wrong."
Die bekende Alto Cabernet Sauvignon 1971, gemaak deur oom Piet de Tooy, was volgende versoek deur die gaste.
As ek nou iets oor die wyn moet sê, 71, ek kan nie meer lekker onthou hoe was die vintage nie. Maar
Net na je begin het in die bedrijf.
ja,
Je hebt alles vergeten met 2 jaar.
laat my heeltemal. Ek sal sê, het was so 'n gemiddelde oesjaar, maar die wyn het nog al die eienskappe van 'n goeie kerk, 'n bietjie amper die tea leaf karakter, wat nog aantreklik is. So, ek wil nie meer aan dit sê. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add, I think that Alto has always been a red wine farm, and so they had a lot more of the traditional red wine varieties in South Africa. So, when it says Alto Cab, I'm sure it was a very high percentage of Cabernet in the Alto. Because I think that's pretty, die kat gaan op jou spring, Dani.
'n Spesiale versoek deur Duimpie was die Landsraak Pinotage 1963. Die keuse het verseker dat die proen op 'n hoë noot eindig. Beyer Streeter, as die voorsitter van die Pinotage Vereniging, het die eer gehad om die bottel uit die kelder te kies. Johan Malan het gesê dat dit seker die beste Pinotage is wat hy nog ooit geproe het. Beyer Streeter het bevestig dat die 1969 en 63 oeste van die beste Pinotages is wat hy nog geproe het. Hy gee die wyn 'n punt van 20 uit 20 en beskou die 1963 as 'n volmaakte wyn.
I'm a little bit biased, but the 63 to me is the best wine that we've had here today. To me it's a beautiful color. I was involved in, but on a very low scale. I was I was a cellar rat of those days in 63. And so I had maybe helped to drink the wine, but that's about all I had influence in it. But I think to me this wine is really, for Pinotage, it's a standout wine for Pinotage. How well it can age. The colour is there, it's very bright still. The bottle I got is very bright compared to some of the other older wines. Be a lovely note, typical. You can say this is Pinotage. So I just like to say to Graham, thank you very much for allowing us to taste this particular vintage. Thank you.
Cheers.
The unfortunate thing, of course, about wines of these vintages, of course, is there is just so very little left in the country. So what you're sitting on clearly is a pile of gems, because they really are extraordinary for their age. I would urge you not to sell them and drink them all yourself.
Started in the wine industry in 1980, and the guys were still working with jam liquor, and there was one big jam blik for the acid, and then one small little blik for the meta that just gets thrown all over the skins. And they didn't know, they were just doing it because that was the recipe. And that's what these guys came and told them how to make wine. And if you taste these wines, and here we are sitting tasting these wines, the acidities are fantastic in these wines. They've got great tannin structure. A lot of these wines were drawn off around 5 to 8 bulling to get these soft tannins and so on. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Now I've got nothing more to say. I think you must drink them. We'll come and help you.
I've been to one or two other older South African vintage tastings, but I think the golden thread is the absolute superb condition. The wines that we tasted are in beautiful condition, and what stood out for me is freshness and elegance.
I was privileged to do a vintage in Bordeaux, and on a Friday they barbecue this huge entrecôte steak. And then they will ask you what year were you born, and then the owner will go underneath into the cellar, and he came back and he uses heavy swear French words, and I said, what's wrong, is there a problem? And he's saying, no, 63 was a terrible vintage in Bordeaux, and here we sit in Franschhoek with this incredible view towards the mountains, and this morning, or just now, we had a 63, and what a superb wine. Thank you very much.
I'll tell you a story which was told to me by Jannie Engelberg. But I've never checked the truth of the story with Jan Bola. And when Jannie bought Rust and Vrede, he also had to make wine. So he went to Jan. And he said to Jan, you must now teach him how to make wine. So Jan said to him, obviously, you weet, soos Gary nou verduidelik het, die groot blik is die Titanic and die klein blik is die Meta. So obviously they had a bottle or two of wine afterwards, and when Jan reached the farm again, he actually couldn't remember what is now the klein blikkie and what is the So the first Cabernet of Rust and Vrede made by Jannie Engelberg, according to him, but he told me, Jan, jy moet nou sê of dit waar is. He put the big block of Meta on the grape and the small block of Titanic acid.
The wine is still maturing.
I think that wine is still fermenting. Graham, Sonja, baie dankie. En julle wonderlike huis is so mooi. En sulke wonderlike wyne. En ek dink Karel het dit mooi opgesom. The golden thread. All these wines are intact. Unbelievably intact. So wat ook al Nkosi gedoen het in hy huis, I don't know, maar die feit dat hy self weggeneek het is 'n goeie ding geweest. And I think that helped a lot. Baie dankie. Baie dankie julle.
Right, nou kan julle maar 'n glasie wyn buite en julle kan nou maar begin sluk.
Well, it was a great privilege to taste the wines that we had today. The wines from the 60s and 70s are truly unique in the world of wine, and these fine wines, and stored very correctly, are not very often found in South Africa, so it was a real treat. I think the wines that we tasted today were as good as any fine wines from Bordeaux of the same age, and we need to tell the world about those, about how good our South African wines are.
There's an unwritten rule that if the wine that you're drinking is older than you are, you should stand. I was supposed to stand through this whole tasting, but luckily I had the opportunity to sit. But what I can say is it's an amazing sort of feeling of heritage and the worth of South Africa's wine industry, and the foundation of what we have today is built on these wines. And I think this is something that we need to be proud of. It also shows that South Africa can really produce investment wines.